Hey everyone, welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show. I'm so excited you guys are here. In honor of Mother's Day, we're going to be talking about motherly energy, and I'm super excited to get into today's show to look at what does it mean to give yourself the kind of motherly energy maybe that you have never received in your life, or maybe that you are craving. But we're going to talk about motherly archetypes. We're going to be talking about how to extend that kind of self-care, that kind of compassion, that nurturing energy to yourself when you are in times of high stress or emotional distress or anguish, and give yourself kind of that, I don't know, it's like a big bear hug, that mama bear energy. So we're going to get into all of that on today's show. But before we kind of officially start the show, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that this show also airs as a podcast. Now, it typically comes out the day after the YouTube live show, and usually that's around Thursday of the week. But what's super exciting is that this show is now on Spotify. So whether you've been listening to the show on iTunes or SoundCloud or however you might be listening to your podcast, we've just recently got this up and running on Spotify. And I don't know about you guys, but I love Spotify. It's an easy way for me to listen to my music and obviously my podcasts. So I hope that you will check me out over there, the Living Fully Alive show with Mary Hyatt. And of course, while you are there, subscribe. That way you get all the updates when the show airs and when it comes out, when it's published. And of course, when I do my guided meditations that I don't announce through the show, you will also get a notification that those are up and you can access them as well. But if you happen to be hanging out, watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit subscribe on YouTube so that you also get notified when I go live, when I have published maybe something that's not even related to the show. And also, if you are listening later to this podcast, to this show on iTunes, for example, or any way that you are listening or watching, it is my big ask that you subscribe, number one, and then rate me 5 stars. So rate me 5 stars, go ahead and write me a killer review. That would just be so amazing, and it allows other people to hear about the show and get connected to the show. So that is my formal ask and a appreciation and thankful heart from me to you in advance. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode and officially start the show. It is Mary Hyatt, and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show, episode number 73, Be Your Own Mama Bear. I don't know, when I hear that title, I just get excited. My heart lights up thinking about being your own mama bear. And where we are in this season of life is Mother's Day is this coming weekend. And so it's got me thinking a lot about motherly energy. Even if you are listening to this after Mother's Day has passed, or you're watching the YouTube live show after Mother's Day has passed, this is basically so incredibly relevant no matter what time of year it is. And it's really an important conversation to have about motherly energy. Mother's Day just sort of sparked the inspiration for this actual episode, but it's incredibly relevant, honestly, I think, through every season of life, especially when we are going through some of these just more challenging times. I have been personally, and you guys know that I am all about authenticity and vulnerability, and I want to be real with y'all because let's be honest, there are too many voices out there that pretend that life is just perfect, perfect, perfect. And for me, I have been in a very personally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually challenging season. Like I have been in a season of being in the trenches, of really going through a lot of life transition, and I am flat out exhausted. I am flat out worn out. And it's just been tough, y'all. It has just been a tough season. And thankfully, I have some beautiful support. I have wonderful tools to help me get through this season. But there are times where I wish in these moments when we're going through these challenging seasons, it's almost as if we just, at least this is how I feel like, it's like we just want somebody to come hold us, you know, to like rub our hair and tell us that everything's going to be all right and take care of us. Just that loving mother energy. And as adults, it's kind of challenging because I think as adults we believe that we shouldn't go to our mother anymore. You know, we're women, we've got this. You know, maybe you are your own mother, maybe you have your own children, maybe you don't have an actual mother who is currently living, or you're not in close proximity to your mother, or the relationship is strained, or whatever the case may be. It's hard to actually get that true mother energy from your actual mother. And so I think that this is a tricky subject to talk about because the idea of mother, the concept of mothering is weighted. It can be really skewed for a lot of us, which makes it challenging to think about offering that kind of archetypal energy and love and compassion to ourselves when maybe we haven't experienced that from our own mother. And oftentimes when I deal with my one-on-one coaching clients, the issue of mother seems to come up a lot. And you know, if you think about the mother, that's usually like the first relationship that we ever have. That's where we learn safety. It's where we learn security. It's where we learn attachment. And oftentimes, if you've studied anything about attachment theory, you know that there are a lot of times anxious kinds of attachments, avoidant kind of attachments when our needs haven't been met through our primary caregiver, which most of the time is our mother. And so then we sort of operate in the world from a place of survival, from coping, from making sure that we can meet our own needs. And so a lot of times when we think about motherly energy, it conjures up maybe emotions or memories or traumas or feelings of neglect or nagging or heavy expectations on our lives or hidden family values, hidden family rules, unspoken rules, codependency, abuse, toxicity. It's tricky. And, you know, and some of us don't have mothers where we feel like it's safe to go to them in times of stress and times of need, or they have passed away and we don't have access to them. We can't call them up on the phone and say, hey, mom, you know, what would you do in this situation? Or I need some advice here. Or can you bring over some food because I've just moved, or I'm having a baby, or there's this huge life transition. You know, our real mothers, our biological mothers, or those people who were a mother representation to us, biological or not, it's a loaded topic. It can be messy. And that's probably putting it lightly. I would venture to say that every one of us has mother issues. And some of us have more daddy issues than mother issues, but oftentimes we got some stuff around mothers. And the interesting thing about that is even though we sort of have a warped sense perhaps of what a mother is, it doesn't negate the fact that we still need that motherly energy in our lives. There is a reason why this mother archetype is so prominent in every single religion, in stories, In traditions that are passed down, there is always this sort of archetype of the mother. And even though this idea of that mother archetype is skewed, and we're going to kind of get into that and talk about what it actually is, we now, as adults, have to learn how to reparent ourselves, to learn how to be that loving mother to ourselves in these times of stress, of anguish, of grief, of transition, of need. And so I'm curious from you guys, and you can kind of chime in the comments if you're watching live on YouTube, but I'm curious, have you heard of the term reparenting yourself? Is that like a new concept to you? Is that something that is familiar to you? I'd love to know. And I think it's just so fascinating when you think about, what does it look like to reparent? What does it look like to mother ourselves? Because to me, and I've done a lot of work around this. I've done a lot of work with my little girl, a lot of work around this parent-child relationship, attachment. And this is where a lot of healing can begin, to rewrite these relationships, these stories, and offer ourselves a kind of motherly energy that maybe we never received or we simply don't have access to anymore. And this is a deep way of loving ourselves to be our own mama bear. And I kind of want to take a minute to look at the mother archetype to understand the symbolism behind this concept. And if we can start to see this more as a symbol, as an archetype, as something that maybe is a little outside of ourselves, and detach from the pain and trauma that we've maybe had with our own real mother, it can give us more insight into how to lovingly reparent ourselves without all of the baggage that goes along with a real relationship with a real human. And so let's take a look at the mother archetype. So in the kind of bigger, broader picture, the mother archetype, think about a mother, is the giver of life. She is the one who gave birth to, this is kind of esoteric way of looking at it, who gave birth to the stars, the planet, the suns, the moon, and our world. That's sort of a story as the archetype of the mother, Mother Earth. And she holds the earth in her hands. So we're looking at this from a more archetypal and maybe not spiritual way. But the Mother Earth, or as the Peruvians say, Pachamama. And you guys know I love Peru so much, and I take these retreats there and guide people there on these beautiful spiritual self-discovery retreats. And I love their understanding of Pachamama, of Mother Earth. And this archetype embodies this presence, this attention, this care, this almost like gardening, tending to, lovingly nurturing to her creation. She is the protector. She is the nurturer of the life force in the entire cosmos, every living thing. She has the capacity for immense expression of unconditional love and devotion and caring. And so if you think about some of these archetypes within society, you've got Mother Earth, obviously what we just talked about. You have sort of that protective Mother Bear. You have the Virgin Mother, the Virgin Mary in Christian traditions. You have Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess, the Great Mother. You have Gaia, the Greek goddess, the ancestral mother of all of life, the primal Mother Earth goddess, and holds all of the wisdom of the earth. And so if we think about that, it's like, wow, there is a reason why we have an archetype, meaning that symbol of the great mother energy. It's something for us to be inspired by, to pull from, to access as inspiration, and to realize that there are all these kinds of different archetypes within ourselves. So like for me, as a woman, and this would be a whole other podcast episode about femininity, but what kind of archetypes are there as a woman? You've got the maid, you've got the mistress, you've got the mother, you've got the queen, you've got the witch, you've got all these different archetypes. And these are just sort of almost like energy bodies that we hold inside of ourselves and we access from time to time. Like there are times when I need to be teacher. There are times when I need to be sensual. There are times that I need to access the old wise medicine woman inside of myself. There are times when I need to access mother. There are times when I need to access these different archetypes. And it's sort of like we all have this inside of ourselves. Men are the same. They have the hunter, they have the king, they have the warrior, they have the sage. They have all these different kinds of archetypes in themselves. And so for us, and for the purpose of this conversation, we're just looking at this mother archetype, which is very strong, very feminine in nature. And if we kind of go over to a more micro explanation of mother and sort of zero in to look at, okay, well, what are the attributes of a mother? And again, this is from an archetypal standpoint, not a reference to what you may have experienced as a mother. So this is going to be separate from your own life's journey, your own real mother, and any experience that you might have had with mothers. So this would be like the ideal kind of attribute of a mother. And of course, we don't have the complete list here. So add in your own definition of this. But for me, the first would be, of course, giver of life, right? Women, ability to create life within her womb, that ability to birth something, that creative energy, whether it's an actual physical child, whether it is that ability, artistic ability to birth a project, just that life force of creativity, that we are literally creating life inside of our bodies, metaphorically and realistically. We are the givers of life as mother. Mothers are very nurturing, right? We are looking at how can we take care of the needs of those around us, giving of ourselves, nurturing, caretaking. There is this kind of sacrificial, unconditional love that a mother has. It's just very compassionate, very tender, very patient. This is one of my favorite things about mother energy, is that unconditional love. And then think about a mom with her new baby. Okay, so when attachment is healthy, when the mother is healthy, and when attachment is healthy, she would do anything for her baby. You think about the kind of sacrifice that a mother goes through at the beginning of a baby's life. And of course, throughout that child's life, but specifically when that baby is not really offering the mother anything. When it's crying, when it's going to the bathroom and you have to change the diapers, and it's whining and it's screaming and it's just feeding every 2 to 3 hours. And essentially that baby is just taking. And yet there is this ability of the mother to do anything for her baby, to meet this baby's needs, to anticipate this baby's needs. And I just think that is just so incredible, that there's no judgment, like this baby shouldn't be so hungry, or this baby shouldn't be pooping or peeing so much, I'm so sick of this, or it's waking me up every couple hours in the middle of the night, I'm exhausted and I've had no sleep. It's like there's still this ability to meet this baby for their needs. Then you have another attribute, then you have another sort of extreme, which is this protective energy of the mother. This is where that mama bear comes in, sort of like, do not mess with my baby. Like if there's any kind of perceived threat, anything that is coming at that baby, what happens? It's like, you think about a dog, and if anybody's coming to the puppies, the hair raises, the tail goes up, you start barking, and it's like, stay away from my babies. So there's this sort of healthy boundary attribute that a mother holds. She is going to put up some big walls to protect this baby. And then when I think about mothers as well, and I don't know that you have been able to articulate this maybe before, as I was thinking about these attributes, this one came to me and I was like, oh, I like that a lot. And it's the fact that there is this wisdom that motherly energy has, where it's sort of like, because of what they've gone through, it's like there is this wisdom, there is this intuitive nature of a mother, this instinctual ability to know the baby's needs, right? It's like mothers are able to interpret their baby's cries. Is it a hungry cry? Is it I'm in pain cry? Is it a tired cry? Like, they can interpret that. They can hear their kid scream across the playground, and they know it's their child, and they know what the issue is, even if they can't see the child. There is this instinctive, intuitive, wise part of a mother. And then when you think about mother energy, to me, if you boil it down all the way to the bottom, it's security, it's trust, and it is love. And so in our adult life, it's important, because we are going to be going through these times of stress, these times of just exhaustion or overwhelm, or things that come up that we feel like we don't know how to handle. Like, it's just too much. And we get to that point where we're like, I need some support. I need that motherly energy. Like I said, that desire of needing to be held, of being cared for. And so one way that we can do this is to offer ourselves this motherly energy, to give ourselves what it is that we wish that we could get from our mother. And we do this by tapping into that archetypal energy that we have, that we can see, that symbol of a mother. And for lack of a better way of saying it, like, channel that to ourselves, offer that to ourselves, give that to ourselves. And so I want to talk about today the 3 ways to give yourself that motherly energy. And I think that as we get into this, my desire and hope is that it will give you a sense of peace. It'll give you a sense of relief, of like, okay, I can actually do this for myself. I can actually offer this gift to myself in a way that is tangible, in a way that is practical, in a way that is effective, so that I get that motherly energy, that relief, that mama bear for ourselves. So the first way that we are going to give ourselves this motherly energy is unconditional love. And this is where, if you think about unconditional love, this would be where there is no judgment, no prerequisite, no earning of this kind of love. It's this kind of love that is allowing, it is accepting, and it is able to look at the situation. So when you're in distress, when you were in a cycle of overwhelm, or like, I don't feel like I have what it takes to do this, or I don't know what to do, or just grief and pain and anguish. It's the ability to look at the situation, this mother energy, without judgment, without perceiving that the situation itself is good or bad. A mother's able to do that. It's like when a child comes to her and complains or is freaked out or is scared, she's not analyzing it or judging it. It's this ability to hold space. It's just what's happening. It just is. And there is space for whatever there is. There is space to be heard. There is space to be seen. There is space to be understood without the expectation. And again, this would be like the healthy mother. So detach maybe what you've experienced with your own mother, but without expectation that you need to do more or perform more to earn the love of your mother, that she gives this kind of love to you freely. And it creates this space to kind of work through stuff, to heal, to navigate, to get to maybe what is the root of it without the shame and the judgment that is attached to it oftentimes. So oftentimes what happens when we're not coming at a situation with motherly energy is we're analyzing it, we're critiquing it, we're being really hard on ourselves, we're judging ourselves, we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, a lot of expectations on ourselves. And in those moments, that's where we need to access this unconditional love from this mother energy. So for example, think about this. Like if you had a little girl, and those of you who are mothers and you have daughters, you can probably visualize this even easier. I don't have children, so I just have to imagine this one. But imagine if your little girl was growing and she was growing really fast, or maybe she had gained some weight. You wouldn't make her wear the pants that were too small or too tight. This mother energy, you would go out and you would get this baby, this girl, this little woman, some clothes that fit, that were comfortable. And I think of that like a mother. It's like looking at the situation and being able to say, I love you no matter what. I'm not judging the fact that you're growing or that you've gained weight. Like, we're going to get you what you need. And I think of a mother saying something like, oh, baby, I hear you. I know it's frustrating. Or I know that you're really scared right now. And you're okay. You're safe. I've got you. Let's take a deep breath, okay? Let's take a deep breath. It's like, imagine when a little kid gets really worked up and they get really scared and they're sort of having that panic. That loving, unconditional, loving energy from a mother is like, it's okay, baby. Like, let's breathe. Okay, take a deep breath with me. It's all right. Okay, breathe. Okay, exhale. You help that child calm down. It's like we have to do that to ourselves. That's what it looks like to re-parent ourselves. There is this patience that this unconditional love offers. And another great example would be like, think about a little kid who is starting to learn to walk for the first time, for example. A mother has so much patience for that little toddler. She's not thinking to herself or saying out loud, like, hurry up. She would never say like, hurry up, or you need to learn how to walk faster, or laughing at the baby when the baby fell down. It's like, no. Unconditional love from a mother means mothers let us cry. Mothers let us get angry. Mothers let us have a temper tantrum. Mothers hold us. Mothers soothe us. Mother reminds us that we are enough, that we are safe, that we don't have to earn her love. Mother loved us from the moment that we were born, that we can't lose love, we can't gain and earn love. It's unconditional, it's non-negotiable. And so we can offer that to ourselves. We can offer that unconditional love to ourselves by giving ourselves, in these times when we're overwhelmed, the space to process, to heal, to feel, to be human, and to remove any kind of shame or judgment or critique that we might have over where we are currently in our lives, and to extend more loving to the situation, to be the mother who welcomes us in our hurt, in our fear, in our doubt, in our pain, with open arms. And it gets me emotional just thinking about it, because that is the motherly energy. That is what we all want, to be welcomed with open arms. And I get emotional because I've practiced this kind of unconditional love to myself, that I can literally look at myself and love my sweet Mary. And it's really, truly so beautiful when we can mother ourselves in this same way. It's like the deepest kind of compassion, the deepest kind of unconditional love. It is just so, so sweet. So that is the first way, y'all, to begin to offer ourselves this kind of motherly energy. Now, the second way is to trust your intuition, to trust your intuition. Now, with this is where, like I said, we have this all-knowing kind of person inside of us, this motherly wisdom. This is where we have to slow down in the midst of all the chaos, in the crazy, in the messy, like we talked about in the last episode number 72, about the goo, being in that messy middle. This is when we have to ask ourselves, slow down and say, what do we know to be true? In the archetype, like I said, this mother is all-knowing. She is wise. She has a really high level of intuition, a deep knowing. And her instinct is always dead on. The ability to trust that gut feeling. And so when we access this mother energy inside of ourselves, we can remember that we too have in everything that we need already inside of us. Everything that we wish that we knew was already inside of us. We have access to that. We just have to slow down to kind of access this mother archetype inside of ourselves, to slow down, to listen to it, and to sense that wisdom. It's there. We know better than anyone else what is best for us. Better than a therapist, a coach, a doctor, a friend, a spouse, a lover. We know better than anyone else what is right for us. We have that internal mother inside of ourselves. We know what the next right decision is. So my question for you, as you begin to explore this for yourself and begin to access this motherly energy for yourself, what are your instincts telling you right now? Do you need to be the mama bear in your life right now? Where do you need to draw some healthy boundaries in your life to take care of you? Again, if we're accessing that mama bear energy for ourselves, trusting our intuition, where do we need to say no and advocate for ourselves? How can you trust that inner knowing, that intuition more? And how can you begin to honor that for yourself? So bringing in that motherly energy, that's the second way, trusting your intuition, slowing down to hear your own innate wisdom, that motherly wisdom inside of yourself, accessing that, and then honoring it, acting upon it, acting out of your own best interest in being an advocate for yourself. Now, the third way to give yourself this motherly energy is to meet your needs. This is probably my favorite one to talk about because it's almost like it's sacred to me. I think of this as a sacred caretaking. How can we take care of our own needs? And I don't mean that we don't get to ask for help or that we don't ask other people to help us. But it's like, how can we be the mother to ourselves who are always concerned with their child's needs? As if we had that little inner child in ourselves, how can we figure out and take care of the needs that we have? Think about a mother. They anticipate those needs. They feel it, and they will never deny the needs of their child. That is how we must come to ourselves. It's like prioritizing the needs of the child within ourselves. And we have to hear, okay, what are these needs that I have right now as an adult self, the little girl inside of me? So for example, think about a child that's hungry, right? It's going through the day, they're hungry. You would never tell this little child to wait until it finishes all of its work, or that it's too busy, or they got to get too much done on their to-do list, or there's no time for that. No, like you would give that child a snack. If the child was hungry, you would get the child a snack. Or if the child had to go to the bathroom, you wouldn't tell that child to hold it indefinitely until you got the work done or the email sent out or whatever it is that you needed to do. You'd let this baby go to the bathroom. It's like, okay, honey, let's go. You'd get up, no matter whatever you were doing, you would take that child's hand and you would take care of their needs. You'd feed that child when it was hungry. If we think about mothering ourselves, reparenting ourselves, and I know it sounds simplistic, but it really is as simple as that, taking care of our own needs without neglecting ourselves or without making light of our needs. Because the reality is every single human being on this planet has needs. So let me ask you this. As you're accessing this motherly energy, right now in your life, what needs nurturing? What needs replenishing? What needs do you have that are asking to be met. It's time to call upon that motherly energy and take care of you. Do you need to slow down? Do you need to take a break? Do you need to get some outside support? Do you need to take a walk? Do you need to take a bath? Do you need to have a good cry? How can you meet your needs right now? And sort of channel that motherly energy that sort of would do anything for her child. Because each one of us needs that archetypal mother. When we're in stressful situations, the relief can come when we access that mama bear energy for yourself, calling upon that wise, nurturing mother energy. And so for me, as I'm like walking out through my day and I'm trying to access this part of myself, I love asking myself some good questions. Because oftentimes if you're going on autopilot and you're just sort of going throughout your day, you're not going to be super aware that you have this wisdom inside of yourself, or that you have these needs, or that you're adding shame to the situation or judgment to the situation. So I like these questions I'm about to share with you because it will kind of like snap you out of that and be like, okay, mother energy, come on, calling that in. Let's access that motherly energy. So here's some questions that I ask myself. When I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I'm in this sort of spiral of fear, for example, or anxiety, I can slow down and say, how can I accept myself more in this moment? Where do I need to offer myself more tenderness, more patience? How can I offer myself unconditional love in this moment? Where do I need to hold space for myself? How can I accept myself more in this moment? Again, we're accessing that unconditional love. If we can remove the judgment and just love ourselves, our sweet selves that are doing the freaking best that they can do. You know, geez, we're doing the best we can do, y'all. And so adding in that, yes, how can I love myself more in this moment? Second kind of series of questions that I'll ask is, how can I lovingly nurture myself today or in this moment? Or a really basic way is to ask, what do I need right now? I ask this to my friends all the time. And I ask this to myself, okay, what do I need? Wow, I just really need to slow down and cry right now. Or I'm really actually hungry. Like my blood sugar is really low, which is why I'm starting to panic. Like I need to go eat something. Or I need to go take a nap. Or I need to go phone my therapist. Or journal. Or veg out with Netflix. Whatever it might be. What do I need right now? And then the last kind of series of questions, when we're in these moments of feeling like we don't know what to do next, when there are decisions that need to be made and we don't know what to do, what does my intuition know to be true? What does my own wisdom say about this? What does my intuition know to be true? Access that wisdom. So in conclusion, in short, how can you lovingly mother yourself? How can you take care of yourself in a way that allows you to feel so taken care of, so held, an energy that's so gentle, so protective? And for me, I'll just kind of give you a tangible way of what that looks like. For me, it's in the way that I speak to myself. That's how I bring in my motherly energy. Literally, it's like putting on my mother's hat, and I'm kind of switching between roles that I play. It's like, okay, I need to access this motherly energy. And so I put on that mother's hat and I speak to myself in a specific way. Literally, when I'm talking to myself this way, it's almost like my voice changes. It's like I'm channeling that mother archetype. How would a mother speak to me? That perfect archetype, the loving, nurturing mother. And so I speak from her point of view as if it were her voice. And I use the tone and the cadence that in my brain, what I imagine a loving mother would sound like. I have this sort of like this motherly voice that comes out. And if you know anybody who's been coached by me, it's sort of like they call it Mary's motherly voice. I mean, it really is. It's hilarious. It's like something that I do. I've practiced it a lot because I have to speak to myself a lot in this way. And it sounds something kind of like, let's see if I can access this. It's like, baby, like, I hear you. You're okay, lovey. You know, I've got your back. You're not alone. You're okay. I'm right here. You can cry if you need to cry too. That's right. You know, let it go. Take your time. I see you. I hear you. You are so loved. Yes, right now, in this very moment, even now, you are so loved. You are so sweet. You are so beautiful. You don't have to do anything to earn my love. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I see you. I see you. I'm right here. And I think that this voice, y'all, it's like, it sounds very patient. It's softer. It's just a compassionate tone. And yet it's fiercely protective of me. It prioritizes my needs. It advocates for my rest, for my well-being, for my health. That is mother. And so my prayer for you is that you can begin to access this voice for yourself, that you can begin to lovingly speak to yourself in a way that is so loving and nurturing and caring. That when you are in these times where it feels like there is a mountain on top of you, that you can call in mother that exists inside of yourself, and that she can come speak on your behalf. Because she is wise. She knows it's going to be okay. She can see the light at the end of the tunnel. She has experience. She knows it doesn't end here. She knows the story isn't over. And she can speak to that. She can give you a sense of peace. She can understand you. She can listen. She can hold space for you. And you can do that for yourself. And so that is what I hope that you begin to do, to reparent yourself in a way that is restorative to your heart and to your soul, and sort of begins to redeem this mother energy for yourself. It is so absolutely beautiful when you can give yourself that kind of energy. So y'all, to all the mothers out there, thank you for the way that you are loving your children, that you are loving yourselves, that you're showing up. Obviously, you're listening to this episode, which means you're showing up to caretake yourself in a revolutionary way that maybe your mother never did, that you're shifting patterns, you're breaking behaviors, you're breaking habits, old wounds and traumas. And I just want to say that I acknowledge you and I see you. And for those of you who are out there accessing that energy and creating and birthing, maybe it's not your own personal child, those of you who don't have your own children, I see you as well. And we have that beautiful mother energy inside of us as well. And so happy Mother's Day. If you're listening to this after Mother's Day, still happy Mother's Day. Every day is Mother's Day. But I just want to honor that mother archetype that is in each and every one of us. Just so beautiful, so beautiful. So y'all, thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm excited to spend some more time with you next week on the show. But until then, remember, the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. Hope y'all have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will see y'all soon. Bye-bye.